So, hello guys, Prince here. Um, Gamescom just finished, and I don't know where I am on YouTube. There we go. Gamescom just finished. Didn't do the reaction of it because, as I expected, pretty much everything was the same as the other 2 days. They didn't announce apparently any release date, any demo release date, and that's a little bit sad, but it was expected. The demo is still a little rough. Um, it crashed a considerable number of times, but it was still nice to see some of the mechanics that months ago people were talking about because they got to see the games at the Summerfest. So it was cool, and we got to see a little bit about the bowguns rework, and I'm gonna talk about that obviously when I touch upon the ranged weapons. But for now, I wanted to talk about lance and gunlance. So they're both very defensive weapons, and I don't mean that you just defend the whole hunt. I mean that they're a little bit on the slower side when it comes to movement, but they have such a huge shield. Lance, in particularly, has the best shield in the game. But obviously, you can go on the offense pretty much just like the other weapons. Um, let's take a look at the lance overview entirely, and then I'll talk about it. So, first of all, this whole set, as I was expecting, is from Balahar. The whole set, even the weapon. And it's a very nice touch that, as you can see, when you have the weapon away, it's a little bit smaller, but when you put it out, it bloats itself. It's a pretty nice effect. Um, what we can see from the get-go, obviously, as I was talking about, the lance is a weapon with top-class defense. Lance obviously still has the very quick normals, the quick trusting attacks, but this time they're showing that you can maneuver yourself just like some other weapons, as we already saw. You can do little side steps in between the hits. You see? And this is a new finisher. The lance was always triple poke into sidestep, triple poke into sidestep, and so on. This time it looks like the triple poke is still there. The third hit will do a little bit more damage than the first two, but this time we have another finisher that does like three little hits into a big one. Let's look at it. Sorry, this one, pop, pop, pop. Make good use of a variety of guard related moves. Yes, you have different types of guarding with the weapon, and all of them have a pretty follow up. And obviously, becoming very good at the lance means becoming very good at defend yourself, and then be able to do the counter attacks or the follow ups that will allow you to maintain your DPS very high. Boom! And this was the same guarding attack as before, but this time it transitions into the charge of the lance. It's a move that you can already do by itself. This charge does multiple ticks of damage when you go through the monster, and then as it looks, you can then stop the charge earlier to turn yourself. We're gonna see this. You can turn yourself into a swipe. Pop, 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 pop. There we go. There's focus mode, so it's gonna show the focus strike. It looks, as far as we can see in the overviews, it looked very easy to just use the focus attack on the wounds of the monster, and it was looking kind of spammable. But as we can see from the Gamescom, actually, you have to use the focus attacks at the right timing. It's not just as spammable as people thought. That looks very good. I like that it pierced with the shield. It trusted with the shield and then the lens. There we go. This triple thing, basically, this was a supercharged attack that actually acts as if you're guarding with this follow-up that I assume it hits twice, but this monster, the second hit got a whiff. Then this is the charge, shows that you can jump, which is good for flying monsters. And this was the how did they call this? Block clash? No, guard clash. I forgot the name, but it's a clash. Every shield weapon can do this. Now we have it as a confirmed information. Every shield weapon can get this clash animation here. For example, for the Dushaguma, we can see that the mouth wraps around your weapon, and you have to fight it. You have to press buttons to fight the monster. In the meanwhile, the other hunters can help you by attacking the monster as well. Very nice. So this was for the lens. Really like what I'm seeing. I prefer it over lens of Rise and Sunbreak. I didn't like. I mean, I was never a big fan of the Silkbind attacks and the Silkbind counter. I was not a fan of it, and the fact that the most optimal way to play to do a lot of DPS was to use the charge to swipe. I hope that's not the case here, because we haven't seen it actually. I hope it's not back. I really like. I mean, you're playing a lance. You're not playing a slappy stuff. You know. So this is Gunlance, obviously very great defense, just not as good as the normal lens. You still have the lens part. You can still poke the monster, but as you will notice, it looks more like a bayonetta. You know, so the actually the gun lens, yes, it acts as a lance, but it also acts like a blade in some instances. And obviously, there's the gun part. Well, you don't really shoot from a distance. You shoot explosions from close range. These explosions uh, uh, do explosions damage, which is also blast in the previous Monster Hunters. But they also do if it's like before, they also do a little bit of fire damage. So it's obviously better against monsters weak to fire. Um, every Gallons has its own type of shelling. Usually, it was always normal, long, and wide. And as far as I can tell, and as I remembered from Rise, normals Normal shelling, usually you have more shells in your magazine, which allows you to shoot more. But as you will see in the overview, there are moves called full burst, which will unleash every single bullet you have on your magazine, which obviously means that the full burst type of playstyle is better with the normals because it has a very large magazine. Then we have the long. The long is a little bit of a mixing of normals and wide shelling. At least this was for eyes. Uh, so it was a little bit of a mix, and it was good for the worm stake attacks. The the wide shelling, compared to normals and to long, the white shelling has only two bullets, and these two bullets do more damage, obviously, than the normal ones or the long ones. But essentially, with the white shelling in Rise, you wanted to spam either just normal shooting into reload, and so on, or um, you could do charged shells. Now, in this Monster Hunter, we can still do the charged shells, although they have more levels, I believe. But we don't know every type of, correct playstyle based on the gunlance you're using. All we know is that it has a lot of more options, and I'm really happy for the gunlance mains because this weapon looks very good now. As you can see, the Bayonetta looking design. See, you can still trust like the lance and then shoot. You can sidestep to make small positioning adjustments, but this time you can sidestep as you shoot. This is a new thing. This right here, obviously it's a follow-up. You can't do this randomly. As you could see, after the sidesteps, the character did a swipe, a horizontal swipe with the gun lens, and then followed up with this swipe with the burst. This is one of the full bursts. One of the full bursts, but before in the previous Monster Hunters, you only had one full burst. Okay, only one transition into a full burst, and in Rise you could do that in the air, but yeah, now you can do this from this transition. Bam, ba, 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 ba. And this will unleash all the magazine. Okay, so this is why for normals typically it's good. This is a worm stake, so this will basically aside just your typical magazine, you also have a worm stake. When you use it, you have to reload that as well. What it does is that it sticks on the monster. It does a continuous damage until it explodes into a little bit of a bigger hit. See? You can guard. This was a perfect guard, as they have been showing in the Gamescom. It has a follow-up. Typically, this follow-up was in the older games was the follow-up that leads to full burst. So after this, you can pum, 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 pum. Okay. So now it was charging a shell, and it has 5 levels, I believe. Boom, and now it's gonna do the full burst. Look. So this was the old full burst. This is another mechanic, as old as the Gunlance is. This mechanic is the Wyvern Fire, and As you can see, you need to charge it a very long time, but it does huge damage. Then the Gunlance goes on a cooldown. So basically, this wyvern shot that you do, you can't recharge it normally like you do for the worm stake and the normal shells. You have to wait. And the Gunlance typically, you can visibly see that the Gunlance is recharging. I don't know if there's a UI that tells you that now, but before you could see the Gunlance, um, a socket kind of thing kind of opens up, and you can see the steam coming out of it. And when it closes, you knew that you can do the wire fire again. Let's look at it again because it's sick. It's so sick. Now, focus mode, this is the focus strike to basically consume the wound of the monster into a big damage. And it's gonna use the worm stake part of the gun lens. It's gonna stick on it and basically drill it. That's sick. This was I believe, another wyvern fire. Yeah. This is a worm stake. Then it follows up with I believe, a full burst into another worm stake. And you might say, what? But doesn't he need to reload? Like, yes. So what he did basically is worm stake into a very quick, different kind of reload. Into after that, he can do the full burst. This time is a vertical one, as opposed to the ground full burst and the horizontal full burst. You can also do this version. And then since he reloaded, he can also do another worm stake. Look, worm stake, reload, full burst, worm stake. And this was one. The last one was the clash. You can barely see that. You can barely see that here. He's clashing with the Chatacabra, and then he shoots a shell. I think he charged shell onto the monster. There we go. Very cool. Like, I really like the Gunlance in Wilds, and I say it as a biased player because I like complicated weapons, and I think Gunlance is pretty complicated. But I also say it judging on the what we got. Uh, I don't want to say brand new because a lot of these things, like the sidestep shelling type of move that we saw at the beginning, a lot of these moves are actually from Frontier, but the majority of the community hasn't played Frontier. Like 80% of players never got to touch it. So this was very cool. Really happy. And guys, thank you for watching again. Um, I'm I'm gonna keep up with the other videos. Next, it's gonna be Insect Latest Witch Axe, because we got those left, and then it's gonna be the ranged weapons. I think I'm gonna cover them in a single video, because I've never been a ranged weapon player, so I don't know much about them, but I know the basics. So I'm gonna try and see what's new and what's not from the overviews videos, and give you my opinion. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time, guys.